We defend those facing criminal investigations, murders, drugs trafficking, VAT frauds, normal frauds. My name's Nora Talby. I'm a solicitor from EBR Attridge.
I'm Javed Chugtai, also a solicitor at EBR Attridge. It's not a podcast exclusively for lawyers.
Yeah.
We're going to be dealing with hot topics.
Not lawyer focused, focused at defendants.
Also the impact on their families as well.
What happens when you're arrested by the police?
How do you deal with it? What are your rights? What questions can you ask?
The whole point of the podcast is having guests on the show,
Yeah.
former defendants,
Yeah.
inmates,
Yeah.
to talk about their experiences in prison, experiences in the criminal justice
Yeah.
system, prison officers, DNA experts, ballistics experts. It is the most exciting area as a lawyer.
I know that you have real passion for the job.
Yeah.
I know that. Particularly if you go into a police station, you're meeting that person for the first time and they're in an extremely vulnerable situation.
I can't imagine doing anything else other than criminal defence.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our new podcast. My name's Nora Talby. I'm a solicitor from EBR Attridge, and I'm joined by my colleague and fellow solicitor.
I'm Javed Chugtai, also a solicitor at EBR Attridge.
So we are criminal defence solicitors, which means we defend those facing criminal investigations. And the types of matters we defend range from general crime to serious and organised crime, murders, drugs trafficking, large-scale VAT frauds, normal frauds.
That's right.
And on that note, Javed, how has your working week been?
Hot and sweaty.
Yep.
With all this
We've
hot
had
weather.
the heat wave.
Yeah. And really busy. I've
Yeah.
been really busy this week. Not so much in court and
Yeah.
police stations, but just with clients, going into prisons. I was
Okay.
in prison yesterday in
Which
Belmarsh.
prison?
Belmarsh prison yesterday.
Yep.
On a murder case,
Okay.
which was really interesting, really intense. So
How
yeah,
do
it's
you
been a good week.
find, I haven't been to Belmarsh for many years. So how do you find Belmarsh in terms of legal visits, access?
Belmarsh is a good prison in
Yep.
terms of getting access to at short notice.
Yep.
So if you need to see a client the following week, you can get a visit booked up. And also with video links now, it's great because you have the option of the two. So you can generally see your client at quite short notice in Belmarsh.
Don't you find I don't want to focus too much on Belmarsh because we are going to talk about prisons in a later episode, is the rules are pretty much the same at Belmarsh every year. They don't change, unlike other prisons. They're always changing the rules with regards to visits,
Yeah.
what clients are allowed to do, what they're not allowed to do.
Yeah.
It's
no,
pretty a consistent prison.
It is. It's quite well organised. Seems
Yeah.
well organised. It's okay. If you've got a client in Belmarsh, you know that it's gonna be a bit more
I'm
of
not
a
sure
smooth
about how the
run.
client feels about that.
Very good point. That's a very good point.
So, Javed, what is the focus of our podcast?
First and foremost, it's not a podcast exclusively for lawyers.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to be dealing with hot topics, cases that are in the media at that current time. But there's going to be a real heavy focus on defendants caught up in a criminal justice system, how this impacts on them, how they deal with their situation, and also the impact on their families as well. Okay, and
Trying to help those defendants and explain the process.
explain the process.
Yeah. What to expect.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah.
So not lawyer focused at defendants.
Yeah, no,
That's
we want to make it interesting we want to make it interesting for the public as well, so they can
Absolutely.
understand what's going on. You get a take from the media as to what's happening in terms of a particular case or
Yeah.
the system in general, but for us to be able to give us maybe slightly different slant on it.
Okay. So we plan to have guests on the show. It's not just about me and you.
Yeah,
The whole point of the podcast is having guests on the show.
yeah, absolutely.
So
That's going to make it interesting.
we've got some ideas with guests that we plan to
We have.
invite on the show. So former defendants,
Yeah.
inmates,
Yeah,
to talk about their experiences in prison or experiences in the criminal justice
Yeah.
system, how they felt the case was handled, how they felt at the Crown Court, how their time in prison. Prison officers.
prison officers, absolutely. And as we've already touched upon, families,
Yep.
parents of defendants.
Which
who-
is so important
Absolutely.
when you're representing a client.
Yeah, I mean, we spend a lot of time, we have meetings with our clients' parents,
Yeah.
if they want, if they're allowed to be involved in the process
Sure.
because they want to know what's going on with their
They
children.
want
and-
regular updates.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Forensic experts, so telephone experts.
Yeah,
one of my favourite areas. DNA experts, ballistics experts.
Well, in terms of phones, I mean,
Yeah.
I know that this is really, really interesting for you, and you want to focus on this.
Absolutely. Mobile phones affect all of our cases.
Yeah, no, absolutely, I agree.
Most of the time adversely.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Can be. Sometimes it works in your favour, but I agree with you. It can be. Yeah.
Nothing disappears.
No, it doesn't,
from the
does it?
phone. And there's that one message that's in the draft inbox, or message that you think's been deleted, or Snapchat that you think's disappeared, and that crops up.
No, absolutely. Cell site, tracking location, how accurate is cell site. So it'd be great to get an expert in just to kind of tell us chapter and verse.
Explain it all.
This is how it works.
Especially with new media platforms like Snapchat.
Yeah.
I still haven't got my head around this whole 24-hour messages disappearing. So it'd be good to speak to an expert about that and understand that a bit more. Yeah,
well, I mean, I had a client who was arrested recently, and the police caught hold of his phone. Yeah. And literally, whilst the police were looking at his phone, the messages were just disappearing because somebody had clocked on to the fact that he'd been arrested, and they're gone. Yeah. So I mean, I think also in terms of guests, drill lyric experts, the impact that we have a lot of clients who are involved in music and maybe involved in rap.
So when they post these videos on talk, and sometimes they talk about elements of a case.
Or the lyrics may be deemed to encourage violence in some way. Does this equate to your client being involved in some kind of criminal activity?
But not necessarily have done it.
No. So it's really interesting now that in a lot of cases, drill lyric experts are being introduced, and so they can interpret lyrics and also look at different types of behaviour of clients, and can give evidence in court on those issues, which I think is really, really helpful. And then obviously, I think we took
yacht worker.
Yeah, yacht worker.
You want to explain what a yacht worker is? I don't really deal with youth defendants, but you
do. So youth offending team is a body that's effectively kind of linked to the court to support young people who are caught up in the criminal justice system, to give them guidance, rehabilitate, try and stop them from reoffending in the future. So I think it would be really, really important to get somebody on.
Someone on, or probation officer for the adult defendants.
No, absolutely. Yeah.
Excellent. The topics we're going to cover, and I've got a few of these topics written down. So one of the first episodes will be on what happens when you're arrested by the police.
Yeah, so that's a really important start, I think. It's a great topic to start in the first episode. Because we can talk about stop and search, which I think, particularly with young people.
It's happening a lot.
It's happening a lot. What do you do if you are subject to a stop and search? You might feel that it's unfair, and it may well be unfair. Yeah. But if it's happening, how do you deal with it? What are your rights? What questions can you ask the police when they want to stop and search you? Can you record the stop and search? Yeah. People are using their phones all the time.
Everyone's got their phones out nowadays.
So just some insight into what you should or shouldn't do in that situation.
Right through to being taken to the police station if you have been arrested. What happens when you arrive at the police station?
Yeah.
A really important area is going to be what you decide to do during that police interview, whether you decide to answer police questions, no comment, give a prepared statement. That's more your expertise.
Well, I mean, it's a tricky one, isn't it? Because, sometimes there's no right or wrong answer to that question, and it's a big decision to make.
It is. It's your first, apart from when you're being arrested, sometimes our clients blurt out certain things and then they become significant comments, but it's your first opportunity to give your account in relation to the allegation. It is a massive decision in criminal cases.
There'll definitely be a focus on that in this podcast. Yeah. Also, obviously the impact of not answering questions in the interview, but also, the booking in procedure, what your rights are, if there are mental health issues, what the police should be doing in those situations. And phone calls, etc.
Yeah, whether you're allowed to make a phone call. Sometimes you're being held incommunicado, but we'll delve into that in a lot of detail when we cover that in our second episode. This is our first episode. Another area that we'll explore is trial proceedings, perhaps my favourite. So stuff that you don't see on the TV or stuff that you don't read in the press reports, what actually happens during the trial process. It's always the first few days or first few weeks that are obviously the most daunting for our clients during a trial.
Yeah.
So the complicated matters that arise during trials, such as cutthroat defences, when defendants are blaming each other. And I always find the most daunting part of the trial is the prosecution opening. And I always say to my clients, excuse me, at the beginning, you're not going to like this because especially with the type of work that I do large cases. So an opening can go on for about a week. So your client is sat in the dock listening to the prosecutor's account of what they say you've done.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the reasons. And it's really difficult to sit and listen to that.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. You have to, you have to kind of reassure your client that it's not going to sound this one-sided throughout the whole of the trial procedure.
Yeah. And the service of offer we have during trials, and I had this in a murder trial I did a few years ago, mid-trial, when evidence is served mid-trial, which can happen.
Yeah.
And the judge can let it in.
Yeah.
It's a really stressful situation.
Yeah.
And we'll discuss as well when juries are retiring, all of the waiting around, how difficult it is for everyone.
Yeah, and of course the time spent waiting for a verdict as well, particularly if your client is in.
And all the predictions we have, isn't it, when jurors come in, if they look at you.
Absolutely.
And they're always wrong.
Yeah. Who's the foreperson? Guess the foreperson.
They're on our side. They're not on our side. You never know.
No,
but we still, no matter how long we've done this, we've both been solicitors for over 20 years. We still fall into that trap of jury speculation.
Well, we do.
Do you? I do.
I think we're quite good judges of character, though. I think it comes with our jobs. We we're used to meeting different people. We're constantly assessing what someone is saying, analysing, the way they say it.
Absolutely.
So I suppose it's natural for us to do that with a jury as well, isn't it?
Never underestimate a jury.
No, absolutely not. Definitely
Okay,
not.
one of another hot topic which we'll cover is what it's like being in prison. What happens when you first arrive in prison, especially if it's your first time in prison, day-to-day life in prison. Even difficulties with us when we're representing someone in prison. We just touched on that very briefly. With Belmarsh, obviously, you can get in quite swiftly with prisons, but it does make case preparation a bit harder.
Yeah.
And a hot topic, prison conditions.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, I think we're going to come on to that shortly in terms of, the guests we'd like to get onto our podcast. But certainly I think conditions are an issue in prison and the impact that those conditions can have on your client in terms of mental health.
Mental health.
You're trying to
take focus on the.
Absolutely. And if you're locked up for long periods of time, how does that affect your general health and your well-being? Are you able to feel relaxed when you're sitting with your solicitor and talking about your case? It's important that your client
The prisons are in absolute dire conditions. So I do a bit of extradition, as you know, and Germany, I think it was in 2023, refused to extradite a requested person to the UK because of the prison conditions.
Yeah, crazy.
They said it would be in breach of Article 3.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That he would be subjected to inhumane and degrading treatments in the UK prisons.
Yeah,
and I think Ireland also refused to extradite someone.
Yeah, well, that's where we are now. So,
it is.
We work on the basis that it's prisons in other countries that are in poor condition, but
it's quite embarrassing having that judgment.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, another area a focus that will come into each of these topics are family members of defendants who are so important to many of our cases. They impact our clients' mental health. So the impact it has on them having a loved one in prison or their loved one going through the criminal justice system. And I know we're hoping to speak to some family members on the later episodes.
Yeah. And I think it's important. I mean, we have to, by virtue particularly of us representing young clients and, we generally have to spend time with the families as well. It's a huge chunk of what we do, isn't it? A huge part of our jobs in terms of young clients.
Yeah.
And we have to. Sometimes it's more difficult for parents than it
Yeah.
is for the actual
Yeah.
client, because they're having
That's
to look at
interesting
their.
because you do quite a bit of work with young defendants.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think what you find with young people in general is that they don't analyse their situation as deeply as you do when you're an adult, and they sometimes don't think about consequences in the same way.
Yeah.
They're living for the moment, whereas a parent, as naturally as an adult, you don't think in the same way. But on top of that, you're also looking at your own child in a really difficult.
Yeah.
So we hope to be able to speak to some family
members. Yeah, that would be subject that's going to intertwine into all of our, perhaps I must say all of our episodes, is the criminal justice system as it is now, with the huge backlogs. So that will come into quite a few of our episodes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Highlights of our careers to date. Now, when we spoke several times this week, we were trying to think about our career highlights, and it's hard for me to pinpoint one particular moment, because every time we get an acquittal, which is a not guilty verdict, you're elated.
Yeah.
And I had an acquittal in March, and I couldn't be at court for the when the verdicts came back. And even though I've been doing it for such a long time, my barrister rang me and said not guilty, and I had to pull over because I was shaking.
Yeah.
I've done it so many times. You have these acquittals, but it's just that great feeling, because you know that you've worked so hard on that case and your client is over the moon. But you still, so that will be a career highlight each time it happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, the acquittals are amazing, aren't they? And particularly the acquittals where, you have faith in the fact that your client is not guilty.
Yeah.
And also, you're really fond of some clients, aren't you?
You spend so much time with them and you build a rapport.
Yeah.
What's your favourite part of case preparation?
I've always loved the police interview.
Okay.
From day one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that was the first thing when I was training.
Yeah.
And I took the criminal law seat. My main focus was to become police station accredited.
Yeah.
And when I passed that exam, it just felt so good to be able to go to the police station and represent people and feel confident. In
it's a big job representing someone at the police station. Those that, as we will come on to during the later episodes, the advice that you give to your client can not in all cases, make or break the case later on down. If they are charged and they go to trial and they ask, why did they go no comment? Or why did you say this in your interview or in your prepared statement?
Yeah, I think you have to be, you have to be prepared to make quick decisions, don't you?
Yeah.
Which is not always easy. And as we've already said, there's not always a right or wrong decision to make. Yeah. But once it's done, it's done. Yeah. And then you have to deal with the consequences of it.
Absolutely.
So I've a question for you.
Okay.
What is it that brought you into criminal law? Why did you want to become a criminal lawyer?
Well, I actually wanted to. My auntie showed me a letter that I'd written when I was 15. I wanted to be a judge initially. I did work experience when I was 15 at a criminal defence practice in Clapham.
Yeah.
And I went to the police station with the supervising solicitor and I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, right, okay.
So that's why I really, really enjoyed it. And I can't imagine doing anything else other than criminal defence.
Yeah.
I think it is the most exciting
area
as a lawyer.
No, I agree.
Are we being biased?
No, we're not. But I also think, I mean, I can tell we've spoken a lot about, in preparing for this podcast and talking about how we're going to do it, that, I know that you have real passion for the job.
Yeah.
I know that, and we talk and we're kind of,
we get
excited when we're talking about it. But I also think you're really interested in people.
Yeah, you have to be. You have to be.
And you like to ask questions. You're not someone who just wants to talk about yourself all the time. And I feel the same way in terms of this job. I think the most important part of it for me, it's exciting and we've got the great stories and everything else, but it's, meeting new people
all the time.
And you meet someone. Yeah. Particularly if you go into a police station, you're meeting that person for the first time. Yeah. And they're in an extremely vulnerable situation. Yeah. And you build up this relationship with them very, very quickly. And you're dealing with really
Yeah.
serious stuff that they're going through. And you might even talk about really personal stuff that's going on in their life almost straight away. So I think it's really important to want to be interested
Be
in
interested
people.
in their story. You
Yeah,
have
no,
to.
absolutely.
Do you know what my favourite part of case preparation? And it was something because Silk said to me recently, and I realised actually that's what I love doing. When you first get a case, the first read.
Yeah, yeah.
It's the first read when you're reading through obviously the case summary, the
Yeah.
MG5, or the witness statements. It's the first read where you go,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I do a lot of reading. So that's the end of episode 1. Hope you've enjoyed our podcast and we look forward to seeing you soon, hopefully in about 3 months' time.
Yeah, absolutely.
With our first subject on police station, Javed's speciality.
And I'm really excited just to get on with this and just see how it develops.
Excellent. So
Yeah,
we'll see you in about 3 months' time.
See you in 3 months' time.
Is that 3 months? It's not 3 months.
2 months.
2 months' time. We'll see you then. Thank you.